Good morning.
Happy Friday. Inexplicably, it's Friday again, which is lovely. Absolutely lovely. I'm tired. It's been kind of an intense week.
Yeah, you've had a lot on.
Let's start first by thanking David Whitesock for yesterday's.
Fantastic
yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, wow. There's so much to take from that conversation. If you didn't watch it yesterday, be sure and go back. His personal story is remarkable, but the work he's doing around recovery is also really incredible. Have you taken the...
I have not. I was going to do
that. I haven't
that.
taken it yet either.
I was going to do that on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, we'll do it over the weekend and then obviously not give anything away that would be part of David's work, but just talk about it maybe on Monday. Oh, I kind of can't wait to take it, actually. I feel like it's going to be really revealing just into my own state of contentment or happiness, or I don't know. I'm going to be really, really curious to take it and see what we end up with. But David, thank you for your time and your generosity.
Yes, thank you.
Of sharing both the story and the Recovery Capital Index. All right, so we have a series of questions for you this week, and you haven't heard any of these yet.
No, I haven't. Be interested.
Ooh, it's like opening an Oscar. Think about a time when someone unexpected, a stranger or someone you don't know well, gave you a compliment. How did it make you feel? Did it make you want to pay it forward to someone else? And then how did it feel to tell someone else something nice? So I don't know that you saw it because you don't really pay attention to the YouTube page, but you have a former student who last week during your birthday week wrote on the YouTube video.
Oh, I saw that.
Did you?
Yeah.
And just
Stella.
said, "Happy birthday, Dr. Maz. You were and continue to be my favorite professor."
Stella Thomas, bless you.
Yeah, what a lovely thing to say.
It's the only student I've ever had that got 100% in my non-majors biology class.
Wow. And then she went on to be a student instructor for you, right?
Yep, she was a student instructor for me. I tried to get her to become a biology major. I even had a bet with her that if Arsenal finished higher than Chelsea that year in the championship, she'd become a biology major, and Chelsea won more than Arsenal, and she continues to be a finance major and is having a fantastic career. So,
Good job, Stella. But what a lovely, unprompted thing to write. I mean, it wasn't my compliment, and it made me happy on your behalf.
Yeah, no, she's a.
Well, I met her once.
You did meet her.
She worked at Target, I think.
Yes.
Yes. I remember Stella. Anyway, think about those moments when you have gotten an unexpected and appropriate compliment. Something that just made you feel good, not something that made you feel kind of yucky. Because a lot of us have gotten those too. That's not the purpose of this. Yeah, so that's the first question. Second question. One definition of addiction is a biopsychosocial disorder characterized by repeated use of drugs or repetitive engagement in a behavior, such as gambling, despite harm to self and others. So actually this definition, which comes from the always accurate Wikipedia, but I thought this definition was incredibly interesting because I like the last clause, despite harm to self and others.
Yeah.
So again, well, let me finish the question and then we'll talk about it. Think about the times you've said or heard someone casually say, "I'm addicted to this, I'm addicted to that." It's likely not an addiction. It might be a habit, it might be an unconscious thing that you just do repetitively, but it's not an addiction. So where are you using that word? And can you start to be more intentional about it? Again, I noted, I am not addicted to tea. I love tea. I drink an enormous amount of tea, but it's not harming me or anyone else. And
your job
that
isn't
is
suffering.
the difference. Yeah, my relationships don't suffer, all of that. I love that clause, despite harm to self and others. So if somebody says, oh, I'm addicted to spin, which I hear a lot at spin as people are putting on their shoes and taking them off. I'm addicted to spin. No, you're not. Nope. Unless, I guess, you go to spin instead of paying your mortgage. You pay for exercise instead of paying for your mortgage. Or because you've had so much success at spin, you won't feed your children because you don't want them to get fat. I mean, if it becomes, a mental problem for you, but I don't think that's what these people are saying.
They're confusing that with what is a jogger's high, and we may be inundated with psychologists and psychiatrists.
That would be outstanding. Tell us we're right or wrong.
Who say this, but a jogger's high is when, I think it's related to that when if you run a marathon, the wall apparently is
like at mile 15 or something.
It's actually about mile 20. Yeah, anyway, at 1 mile, you stop feeling pain because your body's making endorphins, which are natural painkillers, which are based on opioids. So you feel better. That's the jogger's high, and that
I've never experienced.
No, funnily enough, neither of us actually know. We don't have a lot of first-hand experience with the jogger's high. There you go. But it's a thing. It's a real. It's a thing. It's a thing.
Yes, it's a real thing.
Google it. No, honestly, it's a real. It's a scientific thing, and it does release these natural painkillers, which are endorphins. It's the same thing as you can actually get rid of a headache by gently.
You have to raise your hand. There you go.
Gently doing that. Because it actually releases a natural painkiller, and that's
Eastern medicine actually is a real thing.
If going to spin makes you feel better, that's a jogger's high. It's not an addiction.
And that's great, but you're not addicted to it.
And I'm not saying that as a crusty addict. I'm saying that because you're wrong.
I'm saying it as someone who cares about words.
Yeah.
Think about your words. Another way to think about it is, I hate that. I love that. Americans are often accused of being overly effusive in our adjectives.
Really?
Why don't you focus over there, Dr. Mary? I hate that.
I've been here 20 years. I've never noticed that.
We use words excessively. So just think about the word addiction, because it is a real thing for a real number of people. And if you don't suffer from it, A, don't lump yourself into it because it's a terrible state of being, and B, don't discount the very real suffering of so many other people.
It's interesting to have someone else help teach one of your classes. Yesterday...
well, you're co-teaching. She's not helping.
Oh, Tony.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Co-teaching class, and he got the class to think about trees because my class is doing something at MSUM and Why Not Wednesdays, because Tony set up this entire...
Why not? Not wine.
No,
not.
Why not? Because the Regional Science Centre can't do its thing because of COVID, so he's doing activities for... he did a percussion thing with ice that your organisation covered.
We didn't, but it seems like we should have because it was art.
Oh, I thought...
No, we didn't actually write about it, but it was cool.
So he was getting everyone to talk about trees, and my students, of course, in my botany class were throwing out the correct scientific words. They're going, what's the first thing to sing about tree? Lignin. Active transport. And I was throwing out all these words. He goes, man, words mess you up. You got to, if you're trying to explain this to a layman, just say a word that means something more. And I think that, kind of words do mess you up.
Well, and words matter.
And they do matter.
Addiction is a thing. So, we don't say like, oh, I've got cancer about that. Addiction is a thing, as sure as cancer. Okay, I think we've spent enough time on that question.
Moving on.
From the Jim Collins and Tim Ferriss conversation that I referenced, the podcast that I listened to. What are you moving towards versus reacting from? How can you get more present about those two states? Moving towards versus reacting from. It was that phrase that got me to unfriend more than 1,400 people on Facebook, because I felt that I was reacting. I was spending enormous amounts of my life reacting to Facebook. I don't want to react to Facebook. I want to be present and active in my own life. And
there's a difference.
And so it felt like a thing I could do. So I did that last Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yes, it did take me all that time. And I will tell you, the amount of time I have spent on social media this week has dropped dramatically. And more importantly, and I really worried about this, I haven't missed it. I'm not telling you I'm not on there at all. I'm not telling you that I'm not conscious of perhaps missing out on people's posts, because I'm missing out on 1,400 people's posts. Not that I was seeing all of them, but I have not missed it, and it's given me more time to do some other things. And if you know anything about me, you know that time is my number one commodity.
Yeah.
It's the most important commodity I have access to. Aside from, basic, our house, those kinds of things. But you know what I mean. So, what are you moving towards versus reacting from? Next question. And we talked about this just a little bit, I think the same day. Where and how can you take an actual pause with the things that seem to control you? So I talked to you about Rachel O'Mara's book, Pause, and the technology Shabbat that I try to take on Friday nights, just like a Jewish family goes into that service, or that 12-hour mindset. Where can you do that? That was another reason that book came to mind as I was making these massive cuts to social media. But where else do you need to do that? It might be with alcohol. You might need to say, all right, I will allow myself to drink Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but not Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or sugar, or sleeping in, or whatever it is, whatever things you feel like might be more in control of you than you are in control of it. Where can you take a little pause? And it doesn't need to be a huge, I will not do this for 180 days. Could be, I will not do this for the morning, for the afternoon, for a weekend, whatever.
That's good.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you would like to try to pause on? I have some things I would like you to pause on, but that's not the point of the question.
Really?
Yeah. Anything for you?
No, I'm good.
Okay, well, one of us is reflecting more deeply than the other today.
Like what?
We don't have time to go into it now. It's all right.
Okay.
Are there areas of your life, this is from David's conversation, are there areas of your life that you need to first get honest with yourself? Are there areas where you are still lying to yourself? And you have talked about this, you and David talked about this. Just, you got to get honest in your own mind first before you can ever get honest with anybody else.
Don't be too hard on yourself if you can't get honest with yourself immediately. I mean, part of that is fear.
Yep. And we all have it. This isn't an addict thing. We all have areas where we maybe struggle to be blatantly, brutally honest with ourselves. And so our encouragement is spend the weekend just reflecting on where are you deflecting from the things that make you uncomfortable or make you feel shame or bring you sadness. You don't need to judge yourself for it. You just need to recognize it and then see if there are steps that you can take. Yeah? Last question. Do you have anything in your life that you are using to mask insecurities, secrets, or uncertainties? And are there ways that you can work to set those aside? David said that he thinks the reason he started drinking was because he felt uncomfortable in his own skin. And you've talked a lot about being a young adult, kind of a late teenager, young adult, and thinking, boy, I don't feel comfortable at this party. My friends are cooler than I am. I'm much funnier if I've had a drink or two in me. I can talk to girls better. I mean, that is just like classic being a 17-year-old, quite frankly.
Yes.
Find me the 17-year-old who doesn't have a moment of insecurity. Some people just deal with it differently.
I think the only person who probably didn't was Rob Lowe.
Rob is a recovering alcoholic and drug addict, so I'm not sure that's true.
But I don't,
It seems like Rob Lowe would have had no reason to be uncomfortable. He's stunning. That doesn't mean he saw himself as stunning.
Very true.
Our internal dialogue is often not in alignment with our external dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of movie stars that are now, are now very publicly
Yeah.
recovering alcoholics.
Yeah. You know, artists, a lot of artists struggle with the insecurity. It's part of what makes them creative, is that they feel things more deeply, they explore things more deeply, and that's a hard place to go. I think a lot of my strength as an artist is also a lot of my weakness as a human being. Oh, I wish we could get Rob Lowe on the show. I will see. You know what? I'll write to him. I'm on a bender to write to everybody I can find access to. What am I out if they don't respond?
Well, that's true.
My last point for today is one of the other things that I am doing to try to capture a little more control of my life, because it often feels out of control in a very self-imposed sort of way, is this afternoon at 4:30, I am going to do a 30-minute planning session. And I've opened it up to anybody who wants to do it. Planning about what, you might ask? Anything. I'm going to plan a content calendar for the month of March for Daily Dose and my Dana Del Val personal systems disruption work. But maybe you want to plan an exercise calendar, or a financial calendar, or a food blog or food log, or whatever you want to try to be a little bit mindful of. We're going to spend 30 minutes. So if you send me a note, you can send it on Daily Dose, you can send it on Dana Del Val, you can send me an email, you can text me if you have my cell phone. I'll send you a Zoom link. We're going to meet from 4:30 to 5 Central, and I'm just going to give you a couple of little prompts to help you get going on some planning. And I'm mostly doing it for me, so don't feel any obligation to come. It's free. We will absolutely wrap up at 5 p.m. So I hope that some of you join me. I think it might be a really nice way to just wind down a month and gear up for the next.
Interesting.
All right. That's the end of our thoughts for the week. David Whitesock, thanks again for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Have an excellent weekend. We'll see you Monday morning.
See you Monday.
Bye.